Hi friends, welcome to another monthly favorites, and this is the February edition. But if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia. Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you are returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things, all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeup, you can head over to my Instagram. Quick announcement, I still want to do my black owned video, but I wanted to gather items that weren't necessarily beauty, so I've ordered some, fishnet tights, nude thongs and bras. I also ordered a pillow, and I want a couple of other things. Like I want to get some hair products, and I'm still in my head thinking about other black owned brands that I want to buy from that I could use all the time. So stay tuned for that video. I apologize that I was not able to put it up during Black History Month, but we should be always checking for these brands no matter what month it is. That's what I think. With that said, a lot of these products that I will speak about will already have demos in the respected video, but I'll try to pull some of those clips into this one just so you could get some context, And of course, if you wanted more extended footage of the swatches and just more of me applying whatever product it is on this list, I'll create a February faves playlist for you. With that said, I wanted to start off this monthly favorites with what I have been using since August of 2020. This is getting into some nutrition stuff. Now, I am not a nutritionist, I am not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. However, I have been diving deep into the low carb community of things, and ever since I started intermittent fasting, maybe that was last November of, no, oh my gosh, what year was it? I think it might have been January of last year, and it's been quite a journey. I learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot of the foods that I was eating weren't serving me metabolically for me to perform and think and just thrive at my best. This could be a very sensitive subject. I think it's because the diet culture paradigm heavily still relies on calories in, calories out, low fat this, low fat that, don't eat fat, it makes you fat, eat less, move more, and it is so much more nuanced than that. And I think what's lacking in the nutrition frontier is actual science. Unfortunately, those pillars of nutrition, the usual, as I just outlined, do not acknowledge human biology in the slightest. And this is something that just blew my mind, because I was also about calories in and calories out, and sometimes I would eat a levain cookie for dinner and say, oh, well, even though it's all sugar, it's still this amount of calories, and I'll be fine because I'll be in a caloric deficit. Depending on what type of food that you ingest will determine how it is broken down metabolically. And when I realized that a lot of these foods, although were this calories or whatever, they were making me feel more tired, fatigue, my allergies were a mess every time fall or spring would roll around. My training suffered because I wasn't recovering as well. And my overall wellness, I think, just was not optimal. But I thought I was eating fine and I was teaching a lot. And because of all the running around that I was doing, I thought that was offsetting my nutrition choices. But really, it's a collaborative effort from both sides, right? You want to keep moving just so that, again, I went into exercise. Exercise is not just about aesthetics, but about how you feel, preventing injury. And it's also, that's what your brain relies on to get it on and popping. And also the food that you eat will then play a role in that. Everything you do physically will be enhanced. And back to diet culture, where it's the typical 3 meals a day, 2 to 3 snacks. We're eating maybe close to 6 to 8 times a day. And every time we eat, we trigger a master hormone called insulin. And anytime insulin is triggered, it puts our body into a fat storing mode. And fat, something that's often vilified, often avoided in nutrition, is vitally important. It is and has been for our survival. Because back in the day, we didn't have the Starbucks on every corner, okay? So when the buffalo didn't come along, what were we gonna do? Just starve to death? No. Every time we ate, our body stored that energy. And when there was no other energy to consume for however long that was until the next hunt was on, our body will then rely on our fat for fuel, not just glucose, which is what we're always encouraged to eat. Like, you need the carbs, you need the carbs, you need the carbs. So because of that, our bodies are evolutionarily designed to not eat several times a day. This is basically the beauty of our body in terms of what it has been able to do for years and years and years. Fortunately, those mechanisms are still in place. Unfortunately, however, they don't align with our current food environment. What is that? That is DoorDash, that is Seamless, that is just food all around us. Food signs, food smells. It's very difficult, okay, to not eat when it's just all around you, and especially what has been happening this past year. We go to food for emotional healing. We go to food for that endorphin kick. We rely on it heavily, and we've lost our connection to it, relying on food for nutritional value, now more so for emotional healing. So where am I going to? Where's the favorite, Alicia? Basically, when I realized that I was eating several times a day, so much that I wasn't feeling my best, I wasn't sleeping well, I was feeling quite sluggish. And this is another point I wanted to make. Metabolic health isn't something that's necessarily gauged by size alone. And there are individuals who are of normal weight, whatever that means, they're diabetic. Okay, they're not even near like what's usually presumed to be a weight for diabetics before. There are people who are malnourished, and there are people like myself that when you look at them, you might think, oh, she's pretty healthy. I wouldn't consider myself to be so a year ago. I think I would have been considered to be insulin resistant, which is probably 80% of the population. And how did I get there? I would drink smoothies, I would drink juice, I would have scones for breakfast, like 7:30 in the morning every day, or I would have a cappuccino and a chocolate croissant early in the morning, and then 2 hours after I would have like a Lara bar, and then 2 hours after I'll have like another smoothie, and then I'll have dinner or I'll have lunch. So I was eating so many times during the day that I wasn't actually allowing my body to burn the energy that it has been storing for months. When I realized that, I was like, okay, I gotta slow down. But how can you slow down? Because usually the foods that we eat, that are the high carb foods, the smoothies and the breads and the pastas, they get broken down so quickly that the insulin spike goes way high, and the minute it goes down low, that's when we feel fatigued, that's when we feel ravenous. That's why it's like you have to eat something, because fam, I get it. When I didn't, I felt like I was gonna die, and I just ate something that was so calorically high in energy value, but here I am starving 2 hours later. That didn't make any sense to me. I was triggering my insulin several times a day, never allowed my body to actually burn what it has stored. Go back to 3 meals a day, stop with the snacking. Okay, it was tough though, fam. It was tough because I relied on the high carb foods, and I understand that carbs have a wide spectrum of types of foods, right? You have the leafy greens, and then you have like the flour, my sticky buns, right? So of course, anytime when you mix a carb and a fat, it's just going to be highly addictive and tough to get rid of. And keep in mind, carbs are not necessarily just solid foods. Anytime you drink something sugary like a soda or pressed juice or even a smoothie, your insulin's being triggered, and that is considered consuming food. So even though you're slurping it up and not chewing it, that is another time of day you are technically are eating. And I realized a lot of these foods that I was consuming that weren't serving me metabolically, they were void of nutrition. Nutritious foods are the ones that will provide all the vitamins and minerals that we need to operate optimally. So in my research and trying to figure out how to get my life together, I ran into Dr. Benjamin Bikman's work, and he is also the author of Why We Get Sick, which is a compelling read. It breaks down all the autoimmune disease and ailments basically that our population encounters because of insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is said to be a root cause for a lot of our illnesses encountered today: diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, hypertension. Dr. Bikman is a PhD researcher in bioenergetics, so he knows what's going on in there. Okay, so Dr. Ben joined up with industry experts in nutrition and came up with Hlth Code. Now, I wouldn't say just drink all your meals. That's not what I'm saying, fam. Just changing what you are eating so you could take away the toxic foods in your life that are not serving you. We often speak about getting rid of the toxic people in our life. well, you know what? The toxic foods take a toll on us as well. This is a complete meal where it has all your nutrition and is high in fat, so it leaves you satiated but low in carb. And that will help you to become fat adapted, which is basically what I have eventually become, where I don't have to rely on eating several times a day. I can have 2 meals in a tighter window and be fine between those 2 meals before and after, because now my body runs out of glycogen to burn, which again, we're always led to believe we have to have full and ongoing by eating all the carbs 10 times a day. Your body can rely on fat for fuel, and it is in fact the preferred source of fuel. Depending on, of course, if you're an athlete, that's like a whole different like spectrum of talk. But for the normal person to not feel ravenous 3 times, 5 times a day, to not rely on food that it is toxic, where it's fried in industrial seed oil, it relies heavily on flour and sugar. It gives us that quick endorphin kick to make us think, oh, we're giving ourselves body food. We're actually not. It doesn't have nutrition. It doesn't help us build. It doesn't help us recover. Just changing what we eat so we could definitely optimize our body's mechanisms to just do better. And when I found out about Hlth Code and just needing something to break my fast with, or to have in the middle of the day where I don't have time to, you know, have my 4 eggs and steak, I could then rely on this to get my protein, get my fat, and get all my nutrition. It has all the vitamins, it has apple cider vinegar, it uses real salt, so you get your good sodium in there, okay? Redmond's real salt. Love that stuff. And if you're looking to change your nutritional lifestyle, then you can rely on this for your breakfast or your lunch, and then have your breakfast or lunch actual food, solid food to eat. And it just puts you on the right track, because again, we're trying to control hunger. We're trying to control hunger. We don't want to feel hungry 100 times a day, feel ravenous, and then have to subject ourselves to McDonald's. And I get it, like if you have a budget and you can only afford a certain thing, then at least get something nutritious in your life so it's not totally void of it. So is this considered a supplement? Sure, but I believe the ingredients are more bioavailable and absorbable to your body than like a pill is. So this is a lot more effective. And the reason why I'm including this in my favorite is because I've been using this for a very long time. I heavily rely on it to maintain my nutritional lifestyle, and they started their affiliate program. So if you're interested in trying Hlth Code, I do have a code down below. Please don't feel obligated to use it. I just wanted to shed some light on this because I see a lot of people struggle with it, and then again they keep getting fed the same information, and then they're blamed for being lazy, for not trying hard enough, for not wanting to change. And because of the food that's being consumed and encouraged to be consumed constantly does not serve them, and then they are labeled the victim because they don't want it bad enough. No, that's not the case. So I just wanted to expand upon that a little bit. That's what I have been doing, and that's what has helped me during quarantine, not go ham on the foods that again just won't make me feel great. Do I still have my sticky buns? Absolutely, but that's that and my chocolate cherry scones. But I make sure I do my deadlifts because I gotta put that sticky buns to work, okay? I do half and half, 1 scoop of the vanilla, 1 scoop of the chocolate in my Ninja, let it swirl and twirl. And also Hlth Code has a lot of different recipes just to help you get on track if you feel inspired to change what you're eating, so that perhaps you could explore other nutritional possibilities and what you can include in your daily eating ritual. I will put that link down below as well. And thank you to the Hlth Code team. Thank you, Dr. Bickman. I spoke to him, by the way. I was so geeked out. I was like, oh my God, talking to a scientist. And hopefully they could get the word out too, so we can create empowerment with people's food choices. All right, let's get into the makeup. You probably clicked off already. I get it. No one wants to talk about nutrition. Of course, I have to start with Samantha Robindah's line Auric, the Glow Lust Luminizer. I purchased 4 shades, and I apply this in all types of ways in my original video, and I've been playing with it throughout the month, mixing it with different foundations, using it with different brushes. This is an extraordinary product, fam. I think after using it for the amount of time that I have, it's exceptional because the way it creates radiance and luminosity without looking overly shimmery or just artificial on the skin is tremendous. The way I use citrine today, for instance, because it's super warm on me, but I combine it with my Kogan Dough Aqua Foundation, which I will be talking about soon. I just have to use it a little bit more. It is in the shade 143, which is a little light for me. So I use the citrine shade from the Glow Lust just to give it a little bit of warmth. And I apply it here all over my face, and you see that the shade is adjusted in a positive way, that it gives me warmth. It gives me that golden glow on the skin, but doesn't look out of place. The foundation shade is still showing through, but the undertone of citrine just maneuvers the overall tone a little bit, so I feel it's just something perfect for me to wear if I want to look a little tan, or if I use a shade that's closer to my skin tone, maybe like the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation, or even the Shiseido Radiant Lifting in Maple. I'll then mix in Pyrite, which is the more medium olive tone, to still give it that luminosity but maybe balance out the warmth a little bit. And selenite, of course, I use on the high points of the cheeks. Pyrite I actually like on the high points of the cheeks is a highlighter shade that unexpectedly, because it's close to my skin tone-ish, I would think it would just disappear, but it blends beautifully on the cheekbones also, and it gives a beautiful glow, whereas selenite, I think it's a little beige and I dig it, like I don't mind it at all. If I wanted something more bright on the very high points of the cheekbones. But what I also have been doing, I combine selenite with a concealer, and because again the formula is so, it just has such a fine pearl mix that even under the eye, it doesn't look overly shimmery or weird. It just creates that radiance under the eyes, that brightness that I think serves very well as something you can mix successfully with your favorite concealer if it's one that's creamy. But if it's more like a stick concealer like the Clé de Peau or even the Chantecaille Real Skin, you could warm it up on the back of your hand, mix in a little bit of the Glow Lust and be cool with it. And then Goldstone, the warmer shade, I applied here with Danessa Myricks Balm Contour in medium 2, and I love what it did. It gave me a little bit of warmth, but because of like that luminosity and radiance from the Glow Lust, it gave the Balm Contour a little bit of glide and emolliency that didn't slide around. It still blended beautifully, but again, if you want it a little more blurring, a little more of that soft focus effect, you can mix in the Glow Lust in whatever product you wish to use, if it's a cream or liquid, of course. And I think we could go into the foundations now for the month. I've been using a lot of Westman Atelier, okay? I have a whole full-on brand review where, well, not whole brand because I didn't buy everything from the brand, but the standout items from the line that I consider favorites of the month has to be the Vital Skin Foundation, as well as the fully loaded highlighter. Now, I'm not crazy about the packaging. It's heavy and it's luxe, but it's not the most easiest to open. This highlighter is a cream highlighter. Unfortunately, it does have like that coconutty fragrance, but I deal with it. It is beautifully outrageous on the cheekbones. And this is a type of a formula you can apply exclusively on your cheekbones, under your blush, over your blush, wherever. I sometimes apply it under a cream blush just to give it a little more pop and glow. If I just wanted it to act exclusively as a highlighter, I'll pop it high on the cheekbones here. My favorite shade from the super loaded, I call it fully loaded, super loaded. What am I talking about? The Peau de Peche. This has to be my most favorite shade. It just melts into the skin. I use a finger. You don't need anything else to apply this. And the shine is beautiful. And it's forgiving. I had Pat McGrath's Divine Highlighter on before. I popped it right on top. Look at it. It doesn't look splotchy. It doesn't look like, oh, she didn't layer that very well. No, not at all. Not at all. And with the Vital Skin, when I was doing my cream blush video and I was putting on foundation felt like 5-6 times in that video, I was applying the Vital Stick in between, and it is a lovely texture where it's very smooth, and although it has coconut oil, every time I used it, I did not notice significant breakouts or any reactions to the skin. So that's why I'm okay with it, but I understand some of you had mentioned in those comments where you have to stay away from it because it does have coconut oil. I just love how easy it is to use. I've been using this exclusively. I've been mixing it with other foundations and such, and it melts beautifully into the skin. It's just so easy to apply and easy to use. And it's optimal if, if I am going to Bay's house or Maddie's house and I need a foundation that I know is going to be a great match, great look to the skin, then I'm just going to, pop the Vital Skin into my bag. I did find, however, if you were thinking about the Huda stick, the Huda Beauty Stick does have, I feel, better lasting power. I think because it's formulated to be more of a soft matte finish, whereas the Westman Atelier is natural. And I dig that. Maybe you don't care about longevity. If you were, however, the Huda Beauty Stick, I think, just kind of stays more intact longer throughout the day, whereas Westman Atelier, when I was rubbing my finger on it, I could detect more emolliency, more creaminess, and it started to break down just a little bit, whereas Huda Beauty stayed more intact. So that's just something you have to decide. I would say if you're on the drier side of the skin spectrum, then definitely go with the Vital Skin. But people were saying that they're oily and they're fine with the Vital Skin. So I think it all depends on what works for you and what you have tried. I love both. I definitely do. I recognize better staying powder with the Huda, but I really do adore the texture of the Westman Atelier Vital Skin. I think it's very gentle on the skin, although some people have said that maybe they are allergic to some of the plant oils. So with the whole clean beauty thing, in the end, you use what works for you. You use the ingredients that are not going to break you out, and whatever's going to leave your skin looking flawless and not irritated, then that's what you use. And lastly, I said two, but I lied. I am such a liar. Definitely the Baby Cheeks blush stick. This is in Doo-Doo, and it is the more rosy plum shade. It is absolutely beautiful. I really love this formula as well. It's skin-like in finish. I think it has beautiful color payoff. It's easy to blend. I'm this close to buying more of the shades. And the packaging is just exquisite. I mean, this magnetic cap, I can't get enough of it. You know what I mean? You might think that's too much to spend on a product. I get it. But those are the items that I have been using heavily from Westman Atelier. In addition to the highlighter sticks, I like the highlighter sticks too if I want more of that glossy effect on the cheekbones. But the super loaded, that stuff is amazing. And as I mentioned, the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. While I understand, I just reviewed that. I know. I still have to give it a shout out because, again, shout out to Tisha for being the first Black-owned clean beauty brand featured in Sephora or online, soon to be in store Sephora, I believe. The foundation is outrageously good. It's more light to medium coverage, so I think ideal for those makeup wearers who like tinted moisturizer, who like it, but they want a little more coverage and just a better finish in terms of a more consistent one when evening out skin tone and just getting a little more coverage on the spots, maybe your PIH or whatever unevenness you are tackling. I just appreciate the formula that it doesn't slip around, it doesn't feel greasy, but it has a beautiful luminous finish that, dare I say, is a little more luminous in the Westman Atelier. When I applied them both here, I was like, whoa, I didn't realize I was getting more of a luminous finish from the LYS, but I certainly don't mind it at all because their translucent powder, which I also consider a fave, I know. I'm just gonna consider the whole line a fave. It powders down without taking away that radiance, and it doesn't leave the skin super dry. It allows for that blurring effect without overwhelming the makeup, without overwhelming the skin. And I think it pairs beautifully not only with its own triple fix foundation, but also the Westman too. It's great to apply on the Westman. Dare I say, if you wanted a little more longevity from the Vital Skin Stick, you just slap on some of that Resilience Pressed Powder from LYS and you're good to go. I haven't combined it with the Auric yet, but I can only imagine when I combine TN3 Oak, that is the shade that I wear in LYS, with Pyrite, it's gonna be so beautiful. I also want to try mixing it with the Vital Skin. Might be a little trickier. No, not necessarily. Look at me, I'm just speaking out loud. It's gonna be a beautiful complexion year, let me just say. Off to cheeks. Now, I briefly mentioned some cheek products from Westman. Of course, the Baby Cheeks blush stick, the super loaded highlighter, even the highlighter sticks I like. I do. The highlighter that really stole my heart from the get-go. And some of you were like, how come you didn't feature this in your January faves? Well, I mean, in contrast to LYS, where I have used more than a day than I did with the Divine Rose highlighter, I filmed my video and it was February the next day, I felt like. So I thought it was unfair for me to include this in my January favorites where I just used it for that video. But now since I've been using it for a month, fam, okay, this highlighter, and I'm a fan, there's my bias, I'm a fan of Pat. This is exquisitely formulated where it's so lightweight, it's just thin, but when you apply it, it has that wet look to the skin, that glow, that it's just effortless. I love to apply this with my Yano Series 02 brush, like just all over. You could apply this on a bigger portion of your face, and again, it's going to give you that lit from within glow without looking heavy on the skin. I love this highlighter. I know it's not as pow wow as, let's say, Danessa Myricks Lightwork palette. Like if you want your cheeks to look wet. But if you want like a first layer highlighter to start building up that ethereal glow, that radiance, then you tap into the Divine Rose highlighter, fam. It is just, please, the best highlighter Pat has ever released. I like it better than her Skin Fetish Trio. I like the holiday highlighter. I like the shine. The shine is popping, but it's hard to pick up with the brush, and the undertone is a little strange on me. It leans a little cool. This one right here, between it being pink and gold, of course, it appears more gold when you apply it. Unstoppable. Which leads me to LYS again. I've been using the bronzer and the cream blush many a time after my video. I have to give it up to the bronzers. I was gushing over the cream blushes. I have on Confident. You know what? That's enough. I was gonna pop on more Confident, which is the cinnamon pink, but I'm actually gonna apply Inspire, because Inspire, like the terracotta coral hue, I cannot take it. It's so beautiful. And you know, I was going back and forth between the Tower 28, and of course, shout out to Pam for just helping me deliberate. As much as I love the Tower 28 formula, I do prefer the shades from LYS. I think they are just so expertly done, including the bronzers, which I'll get to in a minute. The fact that this is more red in tone, but it looks like a just pure natural flush. The terracotta tone is absolutely beautiful. The texture is perfect. It's skin-like. It doesn't dry down greasy. It doesn't look heavy on the skin. Doesn't feel heavy on the skin. These cream blushes, I need to get the rest. I need to know. Right now I have Self-Love, Confident, and Inspire. Describe those two. Self-Love is like the more rosy tone, which I love also. But these right here, what impresses me beyond measure is the high color payoff. But they are so easy to apply and blend. They just blend themselves. They do. They blend themselves. I think an ideal formula for anyone who thinks cream blush is intimidating, who has not had great encounters with cream blush, the LYS is going to hold you down. It's going to hold you down. Moving into the bronzers. Despite how many bronzers that I have purchased, and probably will still continue to purchase, I'm always seeking that perfect tone where I truly appear like I've been sun-kissed. Not artificially, not in a way that just clearly shows that I have bronzer on, right? I know, inevitably, that will be the case. However, the bronzers from LYS, as I was wearing them over different products like the Danessa Myricks Balm Contour, with the Westman Atelier, with the Auric and all that stuff, the tones are really special for this bronzer lineup. They really are. And I just appreciate not only the shades, not only the exquisite formulation with the undertones and the color. The formula is to die for. It just applies beyond smoothly on the skin. It looks airbrushed. And dare I say, because I love me the Charlotte, I do, the Charlotte is beyond smooth, and I think it's one of the smoothest bronzer powder products out there. I have to give it to LYS because I much prefer their shades. Whereas with Charlotte Tilbury, The medium shade is, it shows up on me, but I have to build it up quite a bit. Whereas Harmony and LYS, it's just perfect. It's not too deep, but not too light either. Tan shade hits too. Like, I love the tan shade also. I have to be a little more careful with it. Maybe use like a more fluffier brush. Like when I use my Yano Series 2, it's perfect. If I use a smaller brush, it's more concentrated. It might look a little more artificial on the skin, but it works itself out. The colors, again, I can't get over. I can't get over. Beautifully exquisite formula. Tremendously beautiful shades and undertones. I'm speaking for myself because I haven't tried the last two shades on the spectrum. Let me know down below how those have been working out, if you're much deeper than me. Also, if you're lighter than me, how the light works out on you, because I was assuming since it's a little darker than typical light shade bronzers start on the spectrum, if it will look a little too muddy or too dark. Let me know how that's been working out for you. And the eyes, we have arrived at the eyes. This is a frivolous, indulging palette, but I have to give it up to the Byredo palette. I thought this was a lot of fun. Poor palette has all the fingerprints on it. It is a rainbow palette, for sure. Byredo is a luxe brand, originally known as a fragrance brand, but they broke out into makeup last October, and last month they came out with their palette where I have a blast using this. I know it's not indie type. I know it's not what we're used to. I think if you are, however, strategic with what brush you use, with what type of formula, you'll be very successful. But this is a no mercy palette. There are no neutrals in here, maybe with the exception of this one, where I think when you use a finger, it's just so beautifully shiny, and you detect the glitters in there, which I don't mind because I love how they scatter across the lid. And I have fun using this. I do. When I want a super colorful look and I just want to blend with abandonment, I go into the Prismic palette. I want to film another video using this because in case you have it and you're totally stumped and you're like, why did I buy this? Just want to provide a little bit of guidance for you, fam, because I know if it could be a little overwhelming, but I love that palette. I do. Is it super expensive and unnecessary? Absolutely. But look who you're talking to, okay? Next up, and yes, I kept the box. Of course, Pat McGrath's Eternal Eden, which is just a beautiful quad. I think this might be one of my favorites because it has the new cream matte formula from Pat that I think just exquisite. Look at that. And it's multifunctional. In addition to the Divine Rose highlighter, you technically can use this shade as a highlighter, most definitely. And for Forbidden Fruits, definitely use with a finger to get the most color payoff. Look at that shine. Please, are you kidding me? Now, one of the concerns I had was with, what is this shade called? Earthly Delight. That it wasn't the most deep shade. And if you were deeper than me, I was afraid if it was going to look ashy. But I think that's why Pat released Black Coffee with the collection. So you technically could use this pencil to create a darker base. So if I were to quickly sketch Black Coffee on the outer corner of my eye, going in with my Refer 12, and shout out to the Refer team for starting out their loyalty program this month and having a major restock. This is a round undyed goat hair brush that is optimal to use with cream products, but because the bristles are not super long, I think perfect to blend out Pat's Permagel liners with. And I didn't apply any primer. I'm just doing this very quickly to show you. Even that's pretty on its own. I gotta do this more often. Apply Black Coffee as a base first, and then you could go in with Earthly Delight to create a little more smoke. My Refer 15, I'll apply more Earthly Delight through my crease, combining it with Black Coffee, and there you have more of that smoke, but that beautiful mauve pulling through the crease and out through if you want to extend it even more. Bringing in some Temptation if you want just to fluff on the inner part of the eye to give a little pop of color. You know, you don't have to do this, but I just sometimes like to get a little wild. Forbidden Fruit on the lid. Left over the pencil on the lower lash line. Earthly Delight on the lower lash line to smoke it out. Then Pink Mystique, not only on the lower part of the lash line, but pulling it up through the inner corner. And look at that, you have a little bit of depth you want more from Earthly Delight, if you want to combine it with black coffee, you could even skip Earthly Delight altogether and just blend in Temptation. Temptation also works as an excellent blush, I have to say. Now, my other quad that I have to shout out to, let me just say this. The Suqqu quads from the Spring Color Collection. And I am so silly because I thought I bought all 7. I, in fact, did not. I did not buy 01 Mizuhana. Now, Mizuhana, I think, is more of like the plum story. You see that this is more mauve and leaning slightly more lavender than, let's say, what my other favorite is, Akegage number 4 with the red. This I thought was my favorite. Now, the other one too, the more mustardy, I wore that the other day. I think I might have a quick clip here of me applying the shades from the quad. It is absolutely perfect. I just love how easy it is to achieve like a daily bronzy smoky eye with that quad is. That's fighting hard for first place. But when I use Mizuhana, and I dare I say Mizuhana has the best of the topper formulas. It's more finely milled and it has more going on. Like there's blue, there's silver, there's like a little bit of pink, whereas the other ones are either exclusively beige or more champagne, more gold. The particles seem to be bigger. This, I feel, just has more twinkle. This is, again, from 01. Now, I wanted to just quickly demo because I did not do so in my original Suqqu video. It was so funny. I was going over the footage and trying to match up all the quads to their names. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't have that one. I was floored. Totally and utterly floored. And I felt terrible because I said I had all the quads and I did not. So I changed the title. Because I said demoing all the quads. I'm like, Alicia, you do not have all the quads. So of course went over to Selfridges real quick. Got 01. Came here in no time. This one is beautiful. Because it has like this mauve-y tone to it, I think it's optimal for a daily smoky eye that's on the softer side. If you want to go like super dark brown, if you feel that, look at me, I'm like overdoing it here. If you feel that's just too glam for the day, if you wanted something softer, then 01 for sure. And just to show you, again, this topper shade is so pretty. Definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite, out of all the quads that I have tried. I just think it's more finely milled and it has more sparkle present there. Let's do a little lash curl. And I would say also, because I do think a lot of the Suqqu quads, as beautiful as they are, they might not present a lot of depth. And if you're looking to improve on that, applying a dark pencil first and then ending up the shadows afterwards, I feel will help adjust the intensity so you could get more out of those quads if you wish to use them. All right, we're almost done, fam. I'm doing okay, hopefully. Probably not. Probably like the 40-minute mark. For lips, gotta give it up to 2 products. Has to be the Suqqu Fluid Lip Glow in 08 Suyama. This is like a beige. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a beautiful tone, like a beige brown. The texture is beyond smooth. It's shiny upon application, but it's not like a balm or it's not a lip gloss. It has beautiful color to it, but it's almost like a smoky beige with more brown in it than, of course, lighter beige. Oh, this one is so beautiful. But one that caught me by surprise, however, and of course, shout out to Chantecaille for sending this in PR, is from their butterfly collection, the Lip Chic and Aesop. This is more of a truer rose tone lipstick. I love the packaging. It's pastel blue with the magnetic closure. But this like rosy nude type of a shade is, and it feels so good to apply. Now, you know how I feel about pinks, but this doesn't fall into that category. It's rosy, but it has beautiful depth to it that I can rely on solely just to pull the look together. I don't have to mix it with anything. I don't even have to put a liner with it. It just fits right into whatever look I'm doing. And especially now, since I'm leaning more towards the rosier tones for the eye look today during the demo. But isn't that just... feels beautiful on the lips, especially when they're dry. It has great slip, comfortable, cushiony, doesn't feel sticky, delivers the right amount of color. It's gorgeous. It's definitely an elevated balm, more so because it has more color payoff than a balm, but it also has beautiful shine and the wear is amazing. Here's a finished look from our monthly favorites. I'm really happy with makeup this month. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of releases and whatnot. Try to stay on the path of what I know I would really love and not go crazy. It's hard to, fam, because I get we all want to see the new all the time, but I'm also into revisiting products, and although I understand that might not be as popular, that's what I love to do. I just love to dive back in. Like, I want to go back into the Byredo palette, and probably ain't nobody gonna see that video because hardly anyone has that palette to begin with. Creatively, that's something I wish to pursue. And of course, just doing more roundup videos. I've done my cream blush roundup. Now I'm working on my foundation roundup. And next, I have to do the bronzer roundup. Got to. What stood out to me the most this month with my makeup purchases is that I was excited to use whatever that was in front of me. I was excited to use the Auric and the LYS and the Westman Atelier. I was excited to use the Byredo Prismic palette and the Pat McGrath. I didn't force myself to use anything. It wasn't a bad time, and everything, all the products and their roles just flowed seamlessly together, and no matter how I combine them, my complexion looked beautiful, my eye looks looked beautiful. Overall, I was really happy this month, and I'll continue to use these products enthusiastically because, again, they're top notch and just beautifully formulated, and they definitely elevate my makeup experience. So hopefully they have been with you, especially if you have purchased anything in this video or like in this video. You'll let me know down below in the comments, of course. I'll see you there, and until then, fam, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, monthly faves. Get ready with me, or a vlog, which I have to work on. Gotta do it maybe this weekend. Take care, and I will see you again soon.